Alrighty, welcome everyone to the virtual college exploration STEM days in partnership with Cachet. This is the panel presentation studying STEM in upstate New York. A few housekeeping items before I pass it over to the presenters. First and foremost, there are more sessions available at strivescan.com/virtual/STEM through Thursday evening. So feel free to check out more sessions if you haven't been able to do so. When you do register for these sessions, you do get a barcode in that confirmation email. Know that that barcode is not necessary for any of the virtual events you participate in. We are recording all of these sessions and posting them to our website shortly after the session concludes. So whether you want to rewatch this session or watch some others you may have missed on demand at a later date, please feel free to check out our website. And then you'll notice that you will see and hear the presenters. Unfortunately, they cannot see or hear you all. This is webinar style format. So any questions you have throughout the presentation, feel free to use that Q&A box. And the presenters will do their best to either answer those aloud or type answers back into the Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Alex to kick us off with some introductions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. Hi, everyone. Welcome to STEM Opportunities in Upstate New York. I'm going to share my screen, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to hand it over to Mark to start all of our introductions.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mark Munzer, and I'm from the Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Hoster from Syracuse University in Syracuse, New York.
Hi all, I'm Susie Hanks from Union College, located in Schenectady, New York.
Hi everyone, my name is Greg Marcoux from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So just a really quick introduction. My name is Alex. I'm also with RPI. I'm going to be moderating today, but you're going to hear from my colleagues. And I just want to get started by introducing you to upstate New York. Now, as some of you may know, there is a lot of land to New York, far beyond New York City. And our goal today is to highlight that. You can see by the points on the map where all of our schools are located. Now, all parts of New York State have their own feel, their own vibe, especially, between our four schools. But uniting factors are things like close-knit communities, a great mix of urban and rural areas, local economies that cater to college students and young professionals, booming industries in science and technology, and also really fantastic access to nature. So if the only thing you've ever heard about upstate New York is that it's cold and snowy in the winter, you're not wrong, but winter is really only part of the story. So don't let the prospect of snow boots deter you. Today, we are really excited to show you what upstate New York is all about at our four schools. And without further ado, I will pass it over to Mark.
Thanks, Alex. Again, my name's Mark, and I'm an alumnus of RIT. I'm a Senior Associate Director of Admissions, and I'm about to celebrate my 20th year working at the university. Some fast facts about RIT: even though we are one of the larger private universities in the US, all classes are professor taught. The student to faculty ratio is 13:1, and the average class size is only 22. RIT has 9 colleges on our suburban campus. The College of Art and Design is home to STEM-intensive and unique programs including motion picture science, photographic sciences, and medical illustration. Our College of Business features Bachelor of Science degree programs including Management Information Systems and Supply Chain Management. And RIT's largest college is the Golisano College of Computing and Information Sciences, featuring a wide spectrum of computing disciplines including game design and development and software engineering. RIT is one of the only universities in the world to have engineering and engineering technology colleges on the same campus. I will be sharing more about these programs in a little bit. We also offer a health sciences college and programs in social sciences and humanities in our College of Liberal Arts. RIT is home to the National Technical Institute for the Deaf and approximately 1,000 deaf and hard of hearing students. The College of Science is home to programs in biological and life sciences, physical sciences, mathematical sciences, and imaging science. We also offer the ability to customize your own degree program through individualized study and various sustainability study opportunities through the PhD level. One of the defining features of RIT's culture is a commitment to experiential learning. One of the prominent experiential learning opportunities is cooperative education, or co-op. RIT has partnerships with about 3,000 companies globally, and most majors require between 3 and 12 months of co-op as part of their program of study. As you can imagine, there are a lot of benefits to co-op, including getting paid for your work, developing a network of professionals in your potential field, and finding validation about your major and how it can be applied in the real world. Next slide. Some of you may be uncertain if engineering or engineering technology is the best educational path for you. The graphic on this slide presents the broader engineering field as a spectrum, and as you can see, almost all aspects of engineering have overlap in functional industry roles to varying levels, regardless of the degree that you earn. When thinking about what distinguishes engineering and engineering technology education, you can see that engineering technology has a larger emphasis on implementing new technologies, while engineering has a larger emphasis on creating new technologies. Hence, you will see a larger emphasis on theoretical understanding of math and science principles on the right end of the spectrum, and a larger emphasis of the application of math and science principles on the left. It is encouraged that you choose what field you like, for example, electrical, mechanical, industrial, or computer, and then choose how you would like to study it, engineering or engineering technology. There are lots of opportunities at universities that offer these programs. From an RIT perspective, there are a lot of similarities between engineering and engineering technology, including comparable starting salaries, a Bachelor of Science degree, the same ABET accreditation, the same amount of required co-op, and very high placement rates after graduation. Engineering and engineering technology students have access to RIT's makerspaces, student incubators, and student teams, including our Formula SAE team, the Mini Baja team, Aero Design team, and the electric vehicle team. Please keep in mind that regardless of which STEM field you end up choosing and which university you select, you have the potential ability to make a significant impact on the health, happiness, and safety of society, and that is really important and exciting. Next slide. Bridging Western New York and the Finger Lakes region, the Rochester area is home to over 1 million people. While the history of the city ties back to the milling of flour, as in baking flour, which was possible thanks to a 100-foot waterfall that's in downtown Rochester, the creation of the Erie Canal in the early to mid 1800s really propelled Rochester to a city of importance, along with other upstate New York cities and towns, including others you will learn about today. Creating a waterway across an entire state for the purposes of public and commercial transportation was quite an impressive feat of engineering, especially 200 years ago. Eventually, innovators including George Eastman, who founded Kodak, Chester Carlson, who invented xerography, which was commercialized by Xerox, and John Bausch and Henry Lohm, who established at first a monocles business, which later led to the company we know now as Bausch and Lomb. They also commercialized binoculars, telescopes, eyeglasses, and contact lenses. All of this eventually led Rochester to earn the reputation of being the world's imaging center. The dramatic rise in success of these companies in the 1900s led to all sorts of spin-off businesses and industries reflected in the key sectors listed on this slide. In closing, a fast fact for all of you innovators out there: according to the US Patent and Trademark Office, Rochester is ranked #1 in the US for patents issued per 1,000 workers. And with that, I would like to now turn it over to Jonathan, who will be discussing opportunities in my original hometown area of Central New York.
All right, thanks so much, Mark. Hello again, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hoster, and I'm from Syracuse University, and excited to tell you about some of the STEM opportunities offered at Syracuse. As you can see on the slide here, we have about 15,000 undergraduate students total. They're divided across 10 schools and colleges, including our College of Engineering and Computer Science and our College of Arts and Sciences. And in those two areas is where you would find the majority of the 25 STEM programs available on our campus. Undergraduate research is one of the most exciting opportunities at Syracuse and of particular interest to a lot of our engineering and science majors. So we are an R1 research university, which means we're at the top classification in regard to research. This means there's a lot of cutting edge opportunities for research and a lot of funding for research. We have an undergrad research center called The Source that is located on campus, which provides great connections and funding for our undergraduates to do research. Really, really exciting study abroad opportunities across the globe. Study abroad is a real hallmark of a Syracuse education, and many opportunities for STEM majors to study abroad. The picture here is Bethany Murphy. She just graduated with her bachelor's degree in environmental engineering. She's a great example of a student that really took advantage of a lot of opportunities on our campus. As I said, she earned her bachelor's in environmental engineering. She's about to start graduate school in the UK this fall. She's an ROTC cadet, as you can see here, and she'll commission as an officer in the Army, and I think 2 years after she finishes her master's degree. But she also spent time in several different continents around the globe during her undergraduate career. Student success is really important to us. That is one of the things we're most interested in supporting and encouraging our students' success when they're students at Syracuse. We do that through a really effective advising model where our students are matched up to a career advisor in their major right from day one. They also are connected to a faculty member, professor in their major. We also have success advisors that do a really great job supporting our students in anything they need to be successful. You can see here we have a really strong pre-health advising system for students that are interested in health professions, which could be medical school, dental school, pharmacy, etc. And really great opportunities in the STEM disciplines overall in regard to clubs and organizations. So there's about 20 or so engineering, computer science, science-related organizations. I'm including affinity groups for women in engineering, plus the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, and the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. A number of design teams as well, such as 2 car teams, a race car team and an off-road car team. We also have teams that build drones and rockets and robots. So a lot of really exciting things to be involved in related to your major, but also so many students are involved in other things, in music, in sports, community service, religious organizations, student government. We really encourage our students to get involved with a couple clubs related to their major, but also spend time doing other things that they love as well. We have students doing internships, co-ops, and landing jobs across the country. They get paid really well for those experiences while they're in school, and a lot of times they do a really great job of impressing those companies they're working for with their skill set and their work ethic, and that leads into full-time job opportunities. If we could go to the next slide, please. This is one of my favorite examples of entrepreneurship or student entrepreneurship at Syracuse. It's called the Invent at SU program. It's a 6-week program that happens in the summer where our students in small groups, usually pairs, they design, prototype, and pitch original inventions. The pitching part of this is just like what you see on Shark Tank. Inventors get up in front of judges and pitch their inventions. And some of the teams win money out of that 6-week program, but whether or not they win money in that program, a lot of them continue to pitch their inventions in other competitions in other places, really around the country. Russell Fearon, who's pictured here, just graduated with his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Syracuse, and he is continuing at Syracuse for his master's in engineering this fall. He and his partner developed the invention he has in his hand there. It's called the SUGX watch, S-U-G-E-X, the SUGX watch, and it's basically a smartwatch that monitors glucose levels for people with diabetes. After the Invent program where they developed that invention, he went to another competition in Washington, D.C. last fall and won the Fan Favorite Award and the first prize and left there with $55,000 towards that invention. It was a competition sponsored by the American Heart Association. So really proud of the things our students are doing in this program. And if you look at those websites that are on the slide there, it'll tell you more about the invention and entrepreneurship opportunities at Syracuse University. And if we could go to the next slide, please. So to give you an idea of Central New York, the region, and the STEM opportunities, we are part of a 50-mile drone testing corridor between Syracuse, New York, and Rome, New York. It was the first of its kind approved by the FAA for drone testing above the sightline. That leads some really interesting research that our students and professors are engaged in. Really exciting opportunities in civil and environmental engineering as well. Some of the companies that are located here and have big presence here you can see on the slide. Also, a big presence of biotech and medicine as well. Syracuse, New York is home to SUNY Upstate Medical University, which is SUNY's medical school, and Syracuse University, being right across the street, has a really great relationship with them. This is a teaching hospital that offers research and shadowing opportunities to our undergraduates. So in particular, our students that want to be engaged in are preparing for medical school, this is a great opportunity, but also for other students in biology and life sciences and biomedical engineering, leads to some really great opportunities to collaborate with professors at the med school campus. And also a really great presence of defense contractors as well in the Central New York region, including BAE, Lockheed Martin, and SRC, which lead to some really great opportunities for engineers. So with that, I am pleased to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Susan from Union College.
Hi all. As Jonathan mentioned, I am from Union College. We are a small liberal arts college, 2,200 students, but we have extensive STEM opportunities. About half of our students will major in a STEM field, and about half of our students will major in something in humanities and social sciences. But I think what's really special about Union is the large percentage of our students, close to 80% of our students, are going to be combining academic programs. So Union is a college in which you are able to pursue a number of different passions or interests that you have. It is a school where mechanical engineers will study Spanish, that electrical engineers will be minoring in music, where students in biology might be taking political science programs. So double majors, majors and minors, interdisciplinary programs like biomedical engineering and neuroscience are all available, as well as something called an interdepartmental major, which allows students to combine two seemingly different majors, such as computer science and philosophy. So it's providing you that T-shaped learning where you can have the breadth of a liberal arts program with the in-depth study into a particular area. We are probably one of only about 15 undergraduate liberal arts colleges that offer ABET accredited engineering degrees, and about 20% of our undergraduate enrollment is in an engineering discipline. So great opportunities that way. You will find that at Union, what is highlighted for our students is that you really make these connections, and besides the integration, you make these connections with your faculty. So if we can go to the next screen. We have small classes. We're a small school, 2,200 students. Our average introductory classes are 21 students, and upper level classes average 14 students. So immediately when you come to Union, you're making those connections with faculty members. And these connections start early on and last throughout your 4 years, and obviously well beyond the time that you're at Union. Those connections will lead to students helping professors with research. About 3/4 of our students will do undergraduate research at some point during their 4 years. And this is really deeply meaningful immersion programs that students have, where they will be working with a faculty member on the research that they're doing. And all of our faculty are, besides teaching all the classes, are all doing research. But they also have the opportunity to have autonomy in their research. So if you have an idea of something that you want to look into, suggest it to a professor. A professor will really be there to mentor you and to help you through that project. Some recent projects that students have been involved with range from everything from working in the aerogels lab, where 2 of our undergraduate students actually share a patent with professors as to the development of aerogels. Students who are researching sorry, I'm trying to describe something. Researching the development of the brain and how tumors can be broken down with laser, non-invasive surgeries. People who are developing wheelchairs for students with disabilities. So these are all programs that students really have a hands-on application. We just completed a $100 million renovation of our integrated science and engineering facility, which obviously has added new breadth and depth into the research that's taking place. And what is really important at Union is, because we are strictly an undergraduate college, all of the equipment, the instruments that we have are available to the undergraduate students, including a particle accelerator, as well as microspectrometry spectrometers, many different things where in a larger institution, you might not use that equipment until you are a graduate student or well into your maybe senior year. But at Union, our first year students are having those capabilities. Like other my colleagues have said, at Union, there's a great sense of community. Students are involved with all sorts of STEM-related activities and clubs, but also involved with the theater and the music and the student government and the community service, as well as the athletics and things like that. So it is that balance that you have at Union that I think really attracts students. 98% of our students within 6 months of graduation know what they're going to be doing for that, that following year. So we really prepare students for what comes next. Well, I will just put a plug. The Union specific program is just in an hour from now or an hour and a half from now. So I hope that you will join and learn a little bit more. But now I'm going to pass you over to Greg from RPI. We share the Capital District. So Greg is going to fill you in on a little about the opportunities in STEM in the Capital District and then talk about RPI.
Thank you, Susan. Yes, so we do share the Capital District. For those of you who don't know, the Capital District of New York contains 3 primary cities, and I always count the fourth, which are Albany, the state capital, Schenectady, where Union is, Troy, where RPI is, and then again Saratoga, which is about 30 minutes north of the rest of the Capital District of Albany. So we, the Hudson River Valley is being known more recently as the Tech Valley. So we do have a lot of great technology companies and opportunities for students to be involved in co-ops and internships and research experiences, both on campus with Union and RPI, but also at these companies. Some of the major companies that have set up production facilities or research facilities are Regeneron, the pharmaceutical company who's works on many different drugs, but even more recently is working on one of the vaccines / treatments for COVID-19. So that's right here in the Capital District, between Schenectady and Troy, where RPI is located. We also have General Electric. The founding location of General Electric is in Schenectady, New York, about 5 minutes from Union's campus. There's still a production facility there for wind turbines and things like that. So that's still right here in Schenectady. And then again, more recently, a company that moved here and opened up a production facility in Malta, New York, which is just south of Saratoga, is Global Foundries. They installed a multi-million-dollar silicon chip production and research facility. So there is some really great opportunities. Besides the 3 kind of big ones, some other great opportunities, like I said, with the silicon chips, computer hardware, nanotechnology, even game design, Vicarious Visions, which worked on the latest Destiny 2, worked on the Crash Bandicoot reboot, not the new game, but the reboot of the old game, is located in Bonanza, New York, directly across the Hudson River from Troy. So again, a really diverse group of STEM technologies and companies that are located in the Capital District. So again, kind of just about 3 hours north of New York City, and you're really in the heart of the East Coast versions of Silicon Valley. Now let's start talking about RPI if we want to move to the next slide. So RPI, we are the oldest technical university in the country. Union is older than us, but they're not a technical university. Like Susan said, they're a liberal arts school. So we were founded in 1824 by Stephen von Rensselaer and Amos Eaton right in downtown Troy. Troy is about 10 to 15 minutes north and across the Hudson River from Albany. We have about 6,600 undergraduate students, about 1,100 graduate students, and they're all in our 5 diverse schools. We have a School of Engineering, which is our largest school, the School of Science, which is our second largest school, and then we have our 3 smaller schools, which is the School of Architecture, the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, and then our Lally School of Management, which is our business school. Now, like most of the what colleagues have been talking about, you can take courses in any school no matter what your major is. So just because you're majoring in the School of Engineering doesn't mean you can't take business courses. So if you are interested in those entrepreneurship ideas or interested in starting your own company, you can absolutely take courses there. So you have that flexibility. And we also have requirements in all of your programs to take humanities, arts, and social science courses, additional math and science courses. So you're going to have a nice, well-rounded education at RPI. Even though we're a tech school, we still want you to be well-rounded. So when you leave from RPI after your 4 years in our program, that you're not only a great engineer, great scientist or whatnot, but you're also a great leader that can move forward in management positions, so on and so forth. So again, we do have those nice interdisciplinary education opportunities. And the one thing that makes us a little bit unique is our Arch program. Now the Arch is our unique junior year, where the summer that is traditionally between the sophomore and junior year is an on-campus summer semester. This summer it's a little bit different. They're doing it virtually because of the quarantine, but you'll do that summer on campus that again would be traditionally between the sophomore and junior year. And then you'll do an off-campus semester either in the fall or the spring of the traditional junior year. Now that off-campus semester could be a co-op, could be a internship, could be a research experience. You could start your own company. You could do a independent learning activity. You can do research. There's a lot of great opportunities in that Arch. So again, it's part of that junior year. It's part of our curriculum that all students will do. If we want to head to the next slide. And one thing that I think makes RPI unique is when we talk about STEM outside of the classroom. So again, like all of the schools before me, we have that a great opportunity for undergraduate research. Over 900 students every single year participate in undergraduate research. You can start as soon as the second semester of your freshman year, so you can start very early. And it's all about finding the right professor. So if you're talking to a faculty member and they're doing an interesting research project, feel free to ask them if you can hop onto their research team, or if they have a colleague that might need someone for research. It really is all about making those connections and finding the right opportunity for you when it comes to undergraduate research. We also have a ton of clubs and organizations that are STEM focused, everything from the Design Build Fly Club, or as the Rocketry Club calls them, Design Build Crash, which design and builds planes and drones for flight. They are one of the great clubs. We have a great Rocketry Club. We have 3 different motorsports teams. We have the traditional motorsports team, a hybrid motorsports team, and an electric motorsports team. So if you're interested in motorsports, you can get involved in all sorts of different areas depending on your area of interest. We also have coding clubs and a hackathon that'll happen every single year. So there's a lot of great opportunities to not only get involved in the classroom and also with the external research, but also with your fun activities in those clubs and organizations that you're involved in. And then we also have a ton of different maker spaces on campus, the largest being the Forge, which is a full student-run maker space with 3D printers and a bunch of different equipment that can be used. There's just a small membership fee that you'll pay for either the whole year or the semester, and you're able to use those facilities once you're fully trained. So if you have an idea that you've come up with that you want to see if you can make it work or 3D print it, you can head down to the Forge and make sure that you do that. Now, make sure, I forgot to say this before I started, but if you have any questions, please submit them in. I'm going to wrap up here with the RPI presentation, and then we're going to move on to question and answers. And that's where we really want to spend the last part of our session is question and answers. If you have any questions that you want answered, please submit them. So at this time, I'd like to invite the rest of my colleagues in from the other schools. We can start taking some questions.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I am going to be reading off questions as they come in. And I see some are coming in, but to get us started, just with a general question for everyone, if everyone on the panel would like to share very briefly, what is one of your favorite things about the region that you're in? Could be food, could be nature. Share something that you really like about where your school is located.
Alex, I think a great way to start that is talk about the Dinosaur BBQ. I know we mentioned this before we were talking about this session, but all of our cities are proud homes to the Dinosaur BBQ. So no matter where you go to school in upstate New York, you can get some great barbecue food. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the Syracuse area, in addition to all the things there are to do here, the outdoors, the mall, and the great food.
For me, it's the great park system that we have all around Monroe County, which is where Rochester is, and the surrounding area. Letchworth State Park was voted the best park in the whole country, state park in the country. And it's like a mini Grand Canyon, but it's like green and lush, and there's whitewater rafting there. So, and then the Erie Canal, like I talked about earlier, provides, running and biking trails across all of upstate New York. So those are some of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's a fun fact to note that you can actually ride your bicycle along the Erie Canal from Albany to Buffalo. So you can maybe hit all the schools on your bicycle along the way. But I think for me, the Capital District is just such a nice combination of, small cities, really a strong sense of community. I know, Greg, I'm sure you love the farmers markets that we all enjoy. But you're also, 20 minutes to a half an hour to an hour to farmland and the Adirondacks and the Catskills and lakes and mountains. And so it's just a really nice way to kind of mix that small city, but also nature, as we mentioned.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about the Capital District is if you're at RPI and you're in Troy and there's nothing going on during the weekend, which there usually isn't, you can drive 25 minutes or 30 minutes to Schenectady and go to the Wing Walk in Schenectady, or maybe you go up to Saratoga and go to the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, SPAC, and go see a concert. So you're 30 minutes from a bunch of different great activities that'll go on. But like Susan said, I always say you're 45 minutes from the middle of nowhere in any direction in the Capital District. So if you want to go hiking, kayaking, skiing, whatever it may be, you're in a really nice central location.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So an interesting question came in from Paige. Paige wants to know, how often do students use a language like Spanish in STEM careers? I'm not sure if anybody wants to take that. Maybe Susie, since you're at a liberal arts school.
I will be happy to take that. It's really interesting because when you talk to faculty members within the language, the modern language departments, they will emphasize how important it is in any field that you go into to have a knowledge of another language. And so it just allows students, and many of our STEM students from all of our schools are heading into careers in multinational corporations, and you never know when your job that's starting out in the Napa Valley or the Silicon Valley in California will end you up in Germany for a year or in Latin America for a year. And so any sort of knowledge of a language, the appreciation of other cultures is also important. So at Union, for instance, 60% of our students study abroad. And I know at the other schools, a similar, a good percentage of the students have those opportunities. So any sort of language in combination with a STEM program certainly will benefit you as you go into the job market.
Great, thank you. So another question that came in, and I think this is a good question for all of our schools, is it came in about Calculus BC, but I actually want to broaden that a little bit and see if we could all briefly talk about math preparation when it comes to STEM, because I think that that's a really important thing for all of our schools, and it's going to vary a little bit, but I think it's important to kind of share what math preparation looks like, especially in the admissions process.
Sure, thanks, Alex. Yeah, it is a great point. So at Syracuse University, for students who are applying, for instance, to engineering and computer science majors, the requirement is that they have to have pre-calculus in high school. So certainly if a student has an opportunity to take calculus in high school, whether it be regular calculus or AP, that'll certainly benefit them when they embark on their engineering classes in college. But calculus is not a requirement for us at Syracuse to be admitted to engineering. So pre-calculus would be the must-have. The calculus is a great thing to have if the student has an opportunity. So if you can take BC Calc, that's great. Any kind of calculus you can take in high school would be a great preparation for engineering school.
Yeah, and I'll just talk a little bit about engineering versus engineering technology math preparation. So at RIT specifically, for an engineering candidate, we would require at least pre-calculus as a math background. Calculus would be desirable, but not required for admission. Engineering technology only requires through Algebra 2 or trigonometry for admission consideration, but pre-calculus would be preferred. So there are some different entry points to a variety of different majors at RIT that are STEM-based depending on your background.
And at Union, because we are a college and everyone is applying into the college, not into a specific academic program, there are no specific math requirements. Obviously, students will benefit from the fact that if they are going to be studying a STEM field, to have a higher level math, at least through pre-calculus, if not a calculus course, will be helpful. But our math department has 5 entry levels. So if you are some student who has been taking BC Calculus or even beyond, they will fit you in the appropriate level as you start in your math sequence.
Same. Pre-calculus for general admission is required, and then if anything beyond that, it would be additional. It would be wonderful to see, but not required.
Great, thanks everyone. So another good question came in from, I believe Jalen is how you pronounce it. Is your engineering department or School of Engineering very collaborative, or is it kind of more siloed?
So I'll start with that one. Very collaborative, whether it's across departments or across schools and within RPI, you're going to be able to work with any type of professor, any type of student, no matter what major in. So just because you're an engineering student doesn't mean you can't do research or work with a biology professor. Some of the cutting edge cardiac research or cancer research that our team is working on campus is two of the leading researchers are mechanical engineers because they understand blood flow and fluid dynamics and things like that, where the biologist that's not their specialty. So yes, very collaborative, not only within the School of Engineering, but across the institute as overall.
I would definitely say the same thing at Syracuse University. I always describe the environment as very collaborative as opposed to competitive. Our students at Syracuse are really talented. They work really hard and they want to do well, but they're eager and happy to help their peers do well. I think a great example of that is the STEM living learning communities that we have at Syracuse. It's a great thing for freshmen. Like, you can live in an engineering and computer science community. You could live in a pre-med community, et cetera, as a freshman. So you're surrounded by other students who have very similar classes, and you can do homework together and study together. It's a really great way to help you get off to a good start as a freshman. And the professors in our introductory courses, especially like Intro to Computer Science, Intro to Engineering, Intro to Biology, et cetera, really foster that sense of collaboration in those first courses that everybody takes as freshmen.
Great, thank you. Now, another question came in, and it kind of goes along with collaboration or maybe immersive learning, but we're asking about different things like co-ops or other hands-on learning activities. I know that for especially STEM-related topics, hands-on learning is kind of a buzzword, but maybe you can talk about what it means on our individual campuses. Mark, I don't know if you want to start.
Sure, yeah, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but RIT is one of the major co-op universities across the whole country. So it's required for graduation for most of our majors. Students typically would start their first co-op the summer after their second year, and there's a lot of support to help you find your first co-op position. So we don't assign students to co-ops, some schools do. You actually choose which ones you apply to, and we help you along the way. But it's a big part of the culture. So while most co-ops happen in the summer, sometimes for engineering and some of the computing majors, they happen during a traditional fall or spring semester. So there's this culture of students sometimes coming and going, and sometimes combining those periods with a summertime to make it a longer experience. Employers really like that because you get to do more in-depth work.
So at Union, while co-ops are not required, certainly we understand, and the Becker Career Center really emphasizes to students the benefit of having these outside experiences. So a number of our students will do internships during the summer, but we also, the way our academic calendar falls, our students are not in class in the month of December, so some students are able to find internships or co-op programs there. And we have a really strong alumni base. I'm sure the other schools do, and our alumni just love to help our students find those positions. So students working at Stanley Black & Decker, or students working at General Electric or General Dynamics, a lot of times they're finding these positions through the Becker Career Center because of Union alums who are working there. So great support programs, I think, at all of our schools. I think that's one of the true benefits of going to a very close-knit community.
At Syracuse University, students start with hands-on projects in the very first semester. So for instance, if a student tells us they want to do civil engineering, they're going to do civil engineering projects in their intro to engineering class. If they tell us they want to do aerospace engineering, same kind of thing in their intro class. We have a student machine shop that's located in the engineering college that all the engineering and computer science students have access to upon doing a safety training. There's also a makerspace on campus that's open to the entire campus community. And our students are matched up with a career advisor in their major right away. And similar to what Susie said, there's really great alumni connections that lead our students to great industry opportunities really across the country for co-ops, internships, and then jobs when they graduate.
Yeah, and very similar to most of my colleagues, there's not much to add, but at RPI, just like Syracuse, we get you into your major, your first semester on campus, so you're going to be learning what you've signed up for right away. So, and you can really get hands-on in those project-based courses from day one, basically.
Great, thanks everyone. So we have about 5 more minutes left. It might be 1 or 2 questions depending on how long our answers are, but I just wanted to remind all of the students who are sending in questions, we do see them. We're trying to keep it broad. So if we don't get to your question right now, just as it says on the screen, we will respond to you via email, usually in the next couple of days. But a question that's on every mind and is somewhat COVID related, not that we really want to discuss the pandemic any more than we need to, but students are wondering, what are some changes that are coming about on our campuses, especially in our admissions processes due to COVID? Some of them are saying, the SAT is canceled for August, or they can't take the exam. So maybe just talking about some of the changes related to admissions and our process when it comes to the pandemic.
Okay, I'll go first. RIT decided in May to become test optional for all of our programs. We also have differential admissions, so students can apply directly to a major, but we're not requiring the SAT 1 or 2 for any of our programs, or ACT. So you can choose on your application to be considered test optional. So that's one change. And then in a broader sense, we're seeing more flexibility in how our coursework is offered. So this year, for example, we're offering a variety of in-person, online classes, hybrid classes, classes that allow you to choose whether you're in person or online. So there's been a lot more flexibility built into the curriculum.
So at Union, we didn't have to change our testing policy because we've been test optional for decades. And so that we're just kind of going on as before. I think the biggest change that we're going to see is that we know that a lot of schools in the spring term went pass fail. And so we are going to just be looking at both grades and courses in junior year, as well as activities that you've been involved with. And we know that a lot of those things were canceled for the spring. And so we understand everyone's in the same position, and we will just be looking at each application individually, as we always did.
We're like RIT, we just made the decision earlier this summer, or late spring, that we're going test optional as well. So you don't need to send the SAT or ACT if you do not want to. But that's really kind of the biggest change. And again, with Union about student activities, we understand that if all of a sudden you're not playing your fall sport, we know why. We're not going to punish you for not being able to do something because it wasn't offered.
Like many of my colleagues have said, Syracuse University has done very similar things. We made a transition to test optional for applicants for the 2021 entering class, but also it's always true that colleges are looking at your experiences based on the opportunities you've had. So if the opportunities you've had have changed based on the COVID situation, we totally understand that, and won't expect you to have done other things that weren't available to you. So we always look at things, students' performance in context, and I think that's especially the case in the current environment.
Great, thank you. And I know we only have a couple more minutes left. So there was a question about science preparation, similar to our question about calculus, but just really quick speed round. Is physics important preparation in high school to have if you're looking to go into STEM?
At RIT, physics is required for engineering admission consideration, but not for most of our other programs on campus.
It's required for all of our programs, or if not required, strongly recommended. That we always say the most competitive candidates will have biology, chemistry, and a lab-based physics.
It is not a requirement at Union.
I would say at Syracuse University for engineering and computer science, physics is strongly recommended. If you go to a school that doesn't offer physics, then certainly we can be flexible with that. For other majors, it wouldn't necessarily be required.
So as you can see, a great variety of answers in a great variety of schools. I think you'll encounter that anywhere. So make sure you're taking a look at all of our different requirements and what we really want to see. Since it is 1:44 on my watch, I think that means we are closing out. But I want to thank all of you, all of our panelists, wonderful job, and all of our students. Thank you so much for joining today.
And thank you to all the presenters for taking time out of their busy schedules to share all this great information with the audience. And audience, thank you so much for taking time out of your days to be here as well. As you exit this Zoom meeting, you will be taken to a quick survey. It's 4 questions. We'd love to hear your feedback regarding this particular session. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we have more sessions available through Thursday evening, hosted by Keshe, and all of the recordings will be available on our website shortly after the session concludes. So I hope everyone has a great morning, afternoon, evening where you are. Staying safe out there and have a great day. Thank you so much.